Hi, welcome to Tyne Valley Motorhomes. This is the handover of the brand new Chausson Titanium Premium 660. So starting we'll walk around on the driver's door first. So if you open the driver's door, just on the slam panel here, you'll have your tyre pressures and tyre size just located on this sticker here. And then next point you have your LPG. So this is where you would house one 6 kilogram gas bottle, or if you've put a gas low system on, your gas low bottle tank will be in here. So to connect your pigtail, it's a left hand thread, so opposite threads with it being gas, and then you'd need a gas spanner just to nip it up and turn the bottle on and off from the top. Always remember to turn the bottle off before you do start leaving your site or travelling, just so that it is safe if you are involved in any collision. And make sure you put the strap around the bottle just to make sure that it doesn't move around when you're on the road. Here you have your external Bbq point or external gas point. So you'll get a fitting to go in the bottom here. You'll need some gas hose, which is the orange rubber hose, and some Jubilee clips to connect it to your Cadac, external oil heater or barbecue. And then using the gas tap at the top, the red tap, you can turn the valve on and off, and that'll use the gas from the bottle that I've just shown you instead of carrying a spare bottle with you. Operate your cassette, so use your habitation key. These will open all your locks on the motorhome side. And then what you want to do is make sure that the blade's closed on the inside, which I'll show you when inside the vehicle. If that's closed, you'll be able to get the cassette free of the vehicle. If it's open, the cassette just won't move. But this is coming out, so this is open. So you've got some wheels here, so you can drag it to your waste disposal point, which is normally behind or beside your toilet block. And then to empty, you want to remove the cap, so it looks like that. Press the button, tip it out. Once you've tipped it out, there's normally a tap, so put some water in via the spout, give it a rinse and tip out again. And then if you are filling with chemical, the liquid form, the grey cap that goes on here is a 25 milliliter cap, so fill that with either the blue or the green chemical. A cap full into the cassette and it's good to go back into the vehicle. Or what you can do is you can put a pint of water in and drop a tablet into the cassette. The tablets are the new format now, so they're just easier to carry, but it's up to you what you use. Down behind the back driver's wheel is where your waste grey water outlet is, so you pull that, push it in, pull it forward to open, drive over the grid on the way out of your site and drop this off, because you wouldn't want to be travelling with the added weight of your waste water. And always make sure that it's fully drained off in the winter. Got your garage. So on the 660 you've got one garage door this side, one full size habitation door the other side, which I'll show you when we go around, and some storage. But you'll notice you've got your infill cushions, your winding handle, and a large amount of storage in the back. And coming to the back of the vehicle, you've got your high level brake lights, reverse camera just built underneath, two bike rack fitting bars. So they don't come with bike racks, but if you want one, this is where it would be fitted to, as this is where the back panel has been strengthened to take a bike rack. And then on this side, so say you've been at the beach with the kids, the dogs, you've come back from being muddy on your bikes, instead of climbing in your habitation door, you can climb in through the garage. So which is a great new feature on the 660 exclusive line. So you can climb in here, take all your muddy shoes off, all your dirty clothes off, and then get into the vehicle. And you've got a step here so that it's not as high, so the step goes in and out just on the switch. And then coming further down, this is what's known as your Techni Box Locker. So in here is your freshwater fill up. So to fill your fresh water up, go and get yourself a hose pipe and some hose pipe connections and carry them with you, because it's mainly just a brass tap on most sites. Take the cap off, put your hose pipe in there until it either overflows or until you're happy you've got enough water on board. You can see in the tank, but you can also see the level indicator on the main control panel on board. So once you've filled up, you might then want to start travelling, but you don't want to travel with a full tank of water if you don't have to. So you will if you're wild camping, but if you're going to another site, then take a bit of water out to lose a bit of weight, so you're better on fuel and you can put, and you're not driving around overweight. And to do so, this is your travel drain. So you'd lift that up, that'll drain it off from a full tank to leave 20 litres. So you lift the lever up, you'd go in, you'd put your pump on and you'd open your tap, and you'll see water squirting out underneath the van. That's fine, because that'll just bring it all the way down to 20 litres and it'll stop. If you want to drain it down fully, you've got to get underneath the vehicle, and just there is a 15mm compression fitting on the end of a blue pipe. Just pull that off and that'll drain off all your water. So you'll want to do that in the winter, or if you've taken on contaminated water, to stop the water from freezing. And then next to it, you've got your onboard charger, your fuse panel for your 12-volt fuses from your leisure battery. So do carry some spares, as if one blows you can replenish your fuse. And you do have your main trips, so your RCD and MCB here. So if you've tripped the vehicle out, try here before you try your main site on mains power. To connect the vehicle up for charging at home or when you're on site, you've paid for electric, so use it. Get your hooker blade, lift the collar, lift the flap on the van and slide on. Always hook the vehicle up first and then the power source, and do it the other way around when unhooking, so you're never walking around with the live lead in your hand. And when unhooking, there's a small blue clip in the left hand side. Push that down and it will release the pins in the hooker blade. So you can heat your water two ways on the vehicle, on gas or electric. Obviously if you're hooked up, you'll just use electric. If you are wild camping, you will have to use gas. So when using gas, this cover needs to come off because it allows the fumes out the flue of the van. So hand on the top, thumb in the middle, lift it off, expose it to look like that. That'll allow the fumes out when operating on gas. You can use gas and electric together if you're in desperate need of water, but always make sure that the cover is off. It'll come up with a red light if the cover's been left on or you've run out of gas. All you need to do is turn the switch off, take the cover off, blow in here, eliminate any gases that are building up in there, and then go in and switch it back on and it should light straight away. Best place to put this is in the driver's door pocket inside the vehicle, and then just pop it back on when you're ready to travel. Shower point, so if you're hosing down the dogs, the kids, if they've been on the beach, the muddy, the bikes, cold water only. Shower point, make sure the pump's on. Inside the van there's a fitting with a trigger on, and it'll give you a pressurized cold water feed. Come to the passenger door on the Transit. So you've got your diesel filler here, which reacts to the diesel nozzle. It just opens up, so it's a capless system and you can fill with diesel fuel. And then underneath you do have AdBlue. So AdBlue is about a 20 litre tank on a Transit. It'll do 5,000 mile on a full tank of AdBlue. When it gets to 4,000 mile, it'll give you a 1,000 mile countdown. If you just fill it up in that 1,000 mile countdown, because if you don't, the vehicle can be restricted and go into limp mode, or if it goes to complete zero and the AdBlue's empty, the engine won't start to protect the engine. And all that does is it cleans out your catalytic converter at a certain temperature after the build-up of carbon and soot, so it's a clean engine, with it being a new diesel Euro 6. Top it up on the pumps is slightly cheaper than buying it in the drums, but if you want to carry a drum in the van with you, it's not a bad shout, and it may be worth doing that just in case you're out in the middle of nowhere and you can just top your AdBlue up. Leisure batteries underneath the passenger seat, engine batteries underneath the driver's seat. And then to open the bonnet, you've got to use your forward key and you've got to put it in just above the Ford or the Chausson badge. Turn it to your left to pop the bonnet, and then to release the bonnet off its catch to the right. And in here you've got your various fluids, so you've got your screen wash, your oil filler, your brake fluid, your oil dipstick, your coolant, and then for giving or receiving a jump start, because the battery's underneath the cab seat, driver seat, you've got a positive here, so you just release that, and there's your positive terminal, and then earth off the engine hoist here on the side of the engine, and then your weight plate, so 3.5 ton gross vehicle weight, 3.5 train weight. You can tow 750 kilograms with the Ford automatic, but at present you can't because you're illegal to tow. So if you get stopped and you've had a tow bar fitted from anyone else apart from a Chausson dealer, you're illegal. So what you need to do is, if you're wanting a tow bar to tow something, you've got to come back to your Chausson dealer or a Chausson dealer, order your tow bar, you'll get a new weight plate. They'll take your logbook and change your logbook, so you've now got a towing weight on, so that you're legal to tow, but it is only 750 kilograms on the automatic transmission on the Ford, so the power shift. Build number on the bottom, so if you ever need any parts, any warranty claims, that's your unique build number for the vehicle. So once you come in the door, to the left hand side of it, you've got your control panels. So starting off with your main panel, this is your 12 volt control panel, and you get a little light here to say if you're hooked up or not. If you're hooked up, you will then be able to use the 3-pin plugs, which gives you 240 volt, and you'll be able to run mains household appliances. If not, you will just have to run 12 volt appliances off your leisure battery. So you've got your master switch here, which turns the vehicle on and off, which is this one, the green one. And then the blue one is your lights. They all are then individually switched around the vehicle. And then should you have enough water on board and your boiler's closed, which your boiler drain is next to your boiler, you'll be able to put your pump on. And then you'll be able to get pressurized water through the taps, toilet and shower. You've got your awning light here, which is the end one, which is the light above the door on the outside of the vehicle. And then these labels here correspond with these switches at the bottom. So starting at the top, you've got the middle one here, you've got the picture of the truck, which is the Ford engine battery reading. One of the trailer, which is your leisure battery reading. Take the hook about to give a true reading of your leisure battery and your engine battery as it's charging it. And then you've got your water level reading, so there you can see you've got half a tank of fresh water. That'll go red when it indicates that you need to refill your fresh water, and then below will go red when your waste's open, which you'd have to pull behind the back driver's wheel. If the panel's too bright or too dim for you, you can press the end button, just press and hold, and it'll go through the red, orange and green to dim and brighten the panel, like so. And then you've got your Webasto smart controller, which is a diesel heater, so you've got to make sure you've got a quarter of a tank of diesel or more, as they're on different levels from your engine intake to your diesel heater intake, and you wouldn't want to cause an airlock. So a quarter of a tank of diesel or more for your heater to work. Press the button so it's white, it's on standby, press it to green and your heater's on, and then you'll be able to adjust your temperature to 35 degrees being the max. Once you've got it to the right temperature, if you just press enter, and it'll start heating your vehicle to the temperature set, which is 25 degrees. You can press and go into the menu and start timers and things, but you've got heating, you've got your timer, and you've got your ventilation. So you've got 4 levels of ventilation, which is just the assisted fan. So if it is cold, you might want it on level 4, just so it blasts the heat around the vehicle, but then you might want to turn it down so it's not using too much fan and it's not as loud. So now in the kitchen of the 660, first of all you've got your 3 burner hob. So 2 of them are gas and 1 of them are electric. So your electric only works when you are hooked up via your left hand switch, and once that lights up, that is your electric hot plate on. And then you do have 2 gas rings. Allow the hob to cool before you put the cooker hood down, because you could smash the glass lid if it's too warm. And then below you do have an oven. And above you've got your grill. You may want to take your oven shelves and grill pan out when travelling, as it can rattle a little. Light switch, which is individually switched on the end here. Cutlery drawer with another drawer space there for storage of utensils. And then you've got some storage underneath. And a large pan drawer underneath your oven. 2 12-volt charging points for your devices. Your drop down bed switch. Your main kitchen plug, which is a 12 volt, which is a 240 volt plug. And then you do have your bed table, so when you can use it, your table to make your bed, so you can drop that, or you can drop it down to a coffee table should it be too, you don't want it up in the dining position. Above you've got 2 large storage cabinets, but you do have in this cabinet your hot water controls. So you've got 2 ways of heating your water: electric and gas. Gas is where the cover needs to come off. Electric you would use if you're on site, because you've paid your site fees, you'll not want to waste your gas. So you've got off in the middle, 1 kilowatt at the top, and then go all the way down for 2 kilowatts, which is the higher output, depending on what amperage the site gives you through your hookah blade. Depends whether you use 1 or 2 kilowatts. It's mainly on most sites throughout the UK you can use 2, but on smaller CL sites or abroad you may have to use 1. And on this side you've got your gas, so off in the middle, 50 degrees at the top and then 70 degrees at the bottom if heating your water. So you'd use this if you're wild camping, but you can use both together should you be in desperate need of gas or electric. And if the red light comes on like it did there before, it just means that your cover's on, and you do need to take your cover off because the ventilation of fumes from the heater can't get out, so it just stops it from working. So take the cover off, blow into the flue, eliminate any more gas that's in there, build up of gas, and then come in and turn it back on and it should light. Your fridge is a 12 volt compressor fridge, so it's got a chalkboard front so you can write on here with chalk pens. You've got storage underneath, but to operate your fridge it's on 12 volts, so make sure that you've got enough charge in your leisure battery. So a fully charged leisure battery if you're going wild camping. If you're going to a site then you don't really need to worry because you're on hookup, so this will work regardless. And then to turn it on and off you press here. So press and hold, that's turned off, press and hold again, and that's it back on. And then you've got a small snowflake to a big one. The big one is the coldest temperature, so when pre-chilling you may want to have it on the coldest, but then once you pop your shopping in you may want to just turn it down so that you don't ice over the fridge. So if you're pre-chilling at home, a couple of days before you'd want to hook the van up, charge your leisure battery, put your fridge on, allow that to cool down. The night before you go away, put your shopping in, or the day before, allow that to chill overnight. And then once you put your shopping in, like I say, just knock it down because it may be too strong. You've got your freezer compartment here, and then a travel catch on the top, so this will lock the door and keep it shut. So you can pull that over on the top. Or what you can do is when winter rising When winterizing, what you want to do is you want to clean your fridge out, so give it a clean out with some antibacterial sprays and wipes, and then leave the door open. You can pull this over, rest the door up against it, and then as you see there, the door's loose. It allows an air circulation in and out of the fridge freezer. Across from the kitchen area you do have your toilet shower area. So to operate the toilet, press the blue button at the back and you'll get your fresh water flush. And always flush the toilet first, so make sure the pump's on, press the button, flush the toilet first to keep the seal lubricated between the blade and the top of the toilet. And then what you want to do is, this is a grey slide, so this opens the cassette, so slide this to your right, then use the toilet because everything will go directly into the cassette. Flush after use and then slide this back to the left. If you did buy the packs of twin liquids, which is the blue and the pink, obviously the blue goes in your cassette, the pink, you don't have a header tank on the vehicle. So what does happen is, what you can do is put the pink in a diluted bottle and spray the bowl and flush together, and it'll do the same job. It'll clean the bowl and it'll give a fragrant smell. And then you will get a red light on here when the cassette indicates that it is full and it's time to change. You've got a heater duct here so that it does get nice and warm off the diesel heater. Storage cabinets. Hanging rail for your towels, which also doubles up great for if you've been caught walking the dog or out in the rain. You can dry and wash off your clothing in here with a shower head. And then open this skylight, unlock it first. We always recommend that you lock it, and then you can wind it up and leave it open for some ventilation. And then once you close it, just put the lock back on before you travel. And you've got a fly screen for when it's open and a blackout blind for on an evening. Same with the windows, fly screen, blackout blind, pinch the middle to depart the two. Press the buckles in on the levers to open the window, and then if you push it out, it'll stay open. Push it all the way out to bring it back in on the stairs, because the stairs will just keep the window open. Hot water's working as it's coming through there, nice and warm, and your pump's working as your water system's pressurised. But behind it, if you just pop your hand behind it, you can pull this forward and you've got a full-size showering cubicle. So it covers the toilet, stops it getting wet. You may just need to wipe the lid over on the toilet there, but then you've got your duct board for bearing weight, and it'll allow the water to drain out nicely. But when winterizing, we always recommend that you remove your shower head from your shower hose, leave your mixer tap open, and it'll just stop any water from coiling up in this pipe. But you can also, there's a tie it back here when in use, so there's a tie back. You can tie it back if you want to travel, but the magnet is quite strong, so I wouldn't think this would move when you are travelling. And then outside you do have your Concertina bathroom door, so again, tie this back when travelling. That'll slide over there and shut the bathroom off from the rest of the vehicle with the light switch just beside the door. Across the back of the vehicle you've got the dividing door. Again, you can tie this back when travelling, but this is your garage area on the 660, which is a new design. So you do have your new garage area, which has its own habitation door. So if you're bringing the dog in, or you've been out on the bike, so you've had the kids to the beach, you can climb in the back door, take all your muddy, sandy, wet clothing off in here before trailing it into the van. So it's its own separate space. Good storage up here with the bungee cords to keep everything secure. Two large storage drawers. And then you've got your cavitation carpets, your awning. If it's fitted with an awning, you'll get an awning rafter pole in there with a winder. Your silver screens which go around the outside of the vehicle, clip around the mirrors, and a loose fitted fire extinguisher. But you've got this as well, so you've got a 240 volt socket and a 12 volt, so if you've got electric bikes or anything that you want to put in here, charge your batteries, charge any equipment you can. It is heated. And then if you press this button here, what you can do is then slide this down and you've got box storage area, so it works great for shoes, boots or other bits and pieces that you may want to carry with you. So you can have it like that when you are on a site, and then when you're traveling you can just push it up, and if the things are loose enough and small enough they will just clip away and store when traveling. Obviously your larger items like your shoes and things may have to come out to allow it to close. Door operates like so, so in the middle you can open it and get out, and you do have an electric step. And then if you lift the handle up, right up, that's the door locked. Your step operates on here. It'll automatically retract with the ignition because you can't drive away with this step out. But it's just good practice to put the step in before you start traveling, when doing your checks before you leave your site. And then you've got this light here and then that light there, so two separate switches for that light and this light. And then the same skylight is in the washroom for ventilation in the back walk-in garage. So at the front of the 660 you've got this spacious lounge that's got two travelling seats in, so it is a 4-berth 4-belted vehicle. And you would remove this cushion and the base cushion and then slide this board out, which will give you the foot wells for both seats. Your table does fold in like so, and you'll notice you've got little support legs there, so push them in when not in use. And you can have a smaller table, but when you want the bigger table, obviously pull all these back out. And then fold the tabletop extensions over, and you've got a large table with two extra stools. So these stools have got magnets on as they sit now, which connects them to here. So when you're traveling, if you just put them next to the magnets, they shouldn't move and cause any damage when traveling. But you can have them wherever you want to locate people around the table, or you can put them together and create a bigger seat like so. You've got this great feature here, which is the pull-up telly. So slide this up and that can take a 32-inch TV, and I know Avtex do offer the bigger TVs, the 32-inch, which can go in there, which is great if you're watching a film or sport. You've got two 12-volt points and a 240-volt socket if it was a mains telly, but obviously that'll only work when hooked up, so we do recommend the 12-volt ones. But if you do want to put a mains telly on, it'll only work when you're on a site. And you will need a TV aerial because the Chaussons don't come with a TV aerial as standard, so make sure that you have spec the TV aerial if you're wanting to receive preview channels. And that just pushes down in there. Got some storage drawers behind the driver's seat, and then you've got these lights on both sides, which is two USBs at the top, and then if you press the button the light comes on, which is a great feature because you can charge up to 4 devices off those two. And then you've got another 2 just here on that chrome USB port above the cab. Pressing underneath and releasing, and you've got some storage up here, and you've got your MPPT solar charge controller, which is charging your leisure battery. If your vehicle is fitted with the Connect pack, you'll get a solar panel. If it's not, it hasn't come with a solar panel from the factory, and you will have to ask your dealer to fit a solar panel, otherwise you won't have one. And you've got some storage on the top there. And then to create the bed, what you need to do is the bottom bed, you need to keep the table in this position. The table does slide back and forth, so you can push it away from you or pull it towards you depending on where you're sitting. But if you put it in the middle like so, and then if you use the switch in the kitchen and put the table down, make sure that your lights are on the control panel, as the French wire through the lights. Drop the table down to about there so that it's level with the cushions, because if you drop it too low, the infill cushion's too low, so then you'll just have to raise the table slightly. Pop your backrest in here, and then get your infill cushion and slide that there, and there you have a double bed. You just remove your little scatter cushions and your side ends for your sofa, and there you have your large double bed. And then above you've got 180 centimeters of a king size bed, so it's a really big bed, bigger than a double, and you can bring that down. And it'll come down all the way to there if it was just a two berth, if you weren't taking any additional guests, or if you were using it as a four berth, you'd use it as a bunk bed, so you'd raise it up slightly to about there. Pop your ladders on here, which the ladder's underneath the bed, and you've got some nets, so they clip onto these little clips here on the frame and onto these on the ceiling, just in case you are putting children up there and using it as a family van. They're not going to roll out and hurt themselves during the night. But make sure that you take your pillows off, leave your bedding on, but make sure that it's not, you don't put any, if you put a mattress topper on, make sure it's not too heavy, because it can trip the bed with a fuse. So just make sure that it doesn't affect the motor. And then when in the winter, if you just take your bedding off and then always drop the bed away from the ceiling, just so it allows ventilation when not using the van, so that you don't get any marks on your ceiling off the bed from sweating. In the cab above the passenger seat, this is your bed motor, so this connects to here, which operates your electric bed. So this is your isolation key, so if you've got children that are playing with switches, you can't just turn it off so that the bed's not going to come down unexpectedly and hurt yourselves. But you always need to make sure that the bed motor is switched on for the bed to work. Also the table, because the table's fed off here. And then should you ever get a 12-volt power failure, you can take the key out, remove this panel, and there's a winding handle in your pack that's supplied by your dealer, that you normally get on your collection day from your salesman, which goes in the top there, and you can hand wind it, so you can wind the top to wind it up and down should it fail. So directly behind the passenger seat is where your boiler is. So your boiler holds 10 litres of water at any one time. In the winter months, we always recommend that you drain the boiler down when not using it, because if the water was to freeze in here, it would cause a load of bother, and if it freezes, it can actually break your boiler, which isn't covered under warranty. So your warranty that you get with a new van is void if you leave water in the vehicle. So if you come here to the next one and remove your false floor, because this wooden panel's on there for storage on top, you'll see you've got a hot and a cold pipe. In between you've got this yellow toggle. So this yellow toggle is called your drain down valve. So when it's sitting like it is now, which is just lying down like so, it's holding water, which is 10 litres, and replenishing it from your freshwater tank underneath. You've got to drain that down, so you drain the 10 litres off by standing it up like so, leaving it stood up during the time you've got the vehicle not in use over the winter. Leave all the taps open throughout the motorhome. Take the bung off the freshwater tank underneath the van around here. Open your waste and eliminate all water that you can inside the vehicle, so that when we do get bad weather, snow or hard frosts, nothing's going to freeze and break any pipes or cause any damage, which can be very expensive from frost damage. So drain it off here, eliminate all water, and then when you come to reuse the vehicle, close here first. Put the bung back on your freshwater pipe that just hangs out underneath the vehicle. Close all your taps, fill the vehicle with cold water. Come in, put your panel on, put your pump on, go the cold side of the tap first. You'll get an automatic cold water feed, so it should pressurize itself. Go to the hot side of the tap and it'll cough, splutter, make all sorts of noises because it's not pressurized and it's trying to pressurize itself. So allow it to do its thing until you get a free flow of water, and this is when you know that your system is then primed and this is filled. That transferred the water from underneath the van in the freshwater tank to here. So that's all it's doing, is it's pushing the air out of the boiler through the taps until you get a free flow of water. So now in the cab, which is based on a Mark 8 Transit, you do have your handbrake to your right, and it's a foldable handbrake to allow the seat to spin. So you might think it's off when it's down. It's not. You've got to lift it up, click the button in, bring it up a notch, and then release, and you'll see that the red light in the bottom of the speedo goes out, and that's it off. And then ratchet it back up to put it back on. On the doors, you've got your driver and passenger electric windows, and then you press this button here, which locks both cab doors and the habitation door, because the habitation door on the premiums, titanium premiums, is central locking. Mirror adjustment here, so you can choose your right or left mirror and adjust it, which is the big mirror. The little mirrors you've got to adjust by hand, so just drop the window and pop your hand out and adjust that to suit. Remus cab blinds on all of the cab windows, so pinch and slide, and you've got these on the driver and passenger doors, and then on the windscreen, if you pinch and slide, pull the mirror out slightly because it needs to just tuck behind the mirror. Do the same the other side. And you do have your blind for your windscreen. Got your lights, so leave them on automatic, and then you can adjust your headlight adjustment. When the lights are on, you can dim the brightness, so you can brighten and dim the speedo, so this the instrument cluster, in case it's too bright or too dull for you to see. And then you do have your front fog lights and your rear fog lights. Wipers, indicators, cruise control, so get your desired speed, push up to set, and then you can go up and down to adjust the speed if you need to slow down or speed up without using the accelerator. If you've got to cancel it on here or by the brake, you can press resume and it'll set the last speed that you had it set at before the engine was knocked off. Or if you want to use the limiter, you can press lim, and then on the top it says limiter, and at the minute it's 26. If you just keep pressing, it goes up in 1 miles per hour increments, and you can have that, so whether you feather the throttle, it'll not go over that until you floor it, so push the accelerator right the floor and it'll override it as a safety feature. Volume and mute, here will scroll through this screen, so you can scroll through. You can have a digital speedometer, you can see how many belts are fastened. can view the how many miles you've done on the trip, the time you've spent driving, your miles per gallon, your average speed and your range, all on there. Or you can press here and go down to trip computer 2, because you've got 2 trip computers. Go to maintenance, you can see the oil life, the AdBlue range. So at the minute it's telling you you'll do 4,000 mile before topping the AdBlue up, but normally it would be 3,000 mile and then the light would come on and give you a 1,000 mile countdown. So do just top that up, because if you allow it to go too low the engine won't start. And then you can see your levels there, so you can see that the minimum refills 5 litres, the maximum refill, so what it needs to take is 6.2 litres to fill it. And then your AdBlue level there, so you can actually see that you've got a bit to fill up there. And then you've advanced settings, you can go into chimes for information, you can vehicles, you can do your headlight delay, so 10, 20 or 120 seconds, and that's between locking the van and the headlights staying on as courtesy lights until you're in the house or parked up, if you need that headlights to stay on to get you into a dark place, unlocking the door and so on. Locks, turn all your auto locking off so that your locks, the key never locks itself in the vehicle. Remote start, you can have the climate control as on auto, or you can have it on the last setting, so it'll go straight back to the last setting. Have your seats, that's just your seat belts, and your duration is just how long. But that's all on there. But that's all explained in your Ford handbooks. You've got a mode switch here which is between normal and eco, so you'd leave it in normal until you got up to speed. So say you are joining the dual carriageway, you want it in normal so you can give it a bit of power to get you up to speed. Once you get up to speed, if then you knock it into eco, the power will be limited, but you'll still be up at that speed, so you'll still be able to increase your speed to a maximum of 73 miles per hour. If you want to go any faster to overtake or have a bit more power, just pop it back into normal, overtake, and then pop it back into eco. From a few customers I've spoken to, eco saves you a lot of fuel apparently, depending on how many miles you do, so it's worth putting it into eco once you're at speed and sitting comfortably on the motorway, just tootling along in eco, because it'll save you your diesel. And then you do have your traction control, so if you're spinning on wet grass, turn it off. The electronic stability control shouldn't kick in, and you should be able to give it the revs it needs to get it off. 6-speed power shift gearbox by Ford, so park at the top, down to reverse, which will bring on your rear view camera, and then you can go down to drive. So you do have drive, and you can use the thumb switch to go if you want a manual, or you can pop it down into manual, which is the M, and it comes up on M here, and then you can use the thumb switch to go between your gears. But if you were struggling in drive, if you thought it was a bit struggling, you can just drop it a gear in here. But this gearbox learns how you drive, so if you're one that quite likes to put your foot down, it'll change gear a lot quicker. If not, then if you're quite a more careful, slower driver, then what you can do is it'll hold the rev slightly longer and just to get you up to speed, and then it'll change. But if you want to build up speed, it reacts to the throttle and it'll change gear a lot quicker. Climate control, so fan speed this side, off and on, heated mirrors, buttons, your screen, so your fans for your screen, face, feet or footwells, where you want the air to be blown to, heated windscreen on the Ford, aircon in the summer, and recirculation. Hazard button just under there, and you've got your USB for the head unit and a 12 volt. Lockable glove box. And now we get on to your accent head unit. So if you've had an accent head unit fitted with the Connect pack, this is what it is. You've got a little chip in here, which is a separate item for the sat nav, which will bring on your navigation. So if we start off with your nav, you press your navigation. Give it a moment and it'll start loading, so it will run through its system. If you've put your card in, it'll do what it's doing now, because it's not been set up before, so it just asks you what language you want. But once the card's been registered, it'll be a lot quicker than this. So when you press sat nav or navigation, it'll come up with this one, which is just the software product information telling you about you shouldn't be looking at it when you shouldn't be using it when you're driving and so on. So just press accept. It's just the terms and conditions. It'll bring on a map and show you where you are. So this is where we're located at the moment, Tyne Valley Motorhomes. That's just an overview of the roads. If you want to program it to use sat nav, go to the right hand corner, the three little lines, press on it and press new route. Address, obviously these will in here will come up with your recent destinations in here. Press address, and where it says Crookgate Bank, that's just where we are now. If you put your town or your postcode in there, so if you just punch in, for the sake of this, we'll say we're going to Edinburgh, so it brings up the cities there. Click Edinburgh, so you've put Edinburgh into there and go to town. This is an overview, so that's where you're going, Edinburgh. Select destination, it'll say calculating route. And then it's giving you 110 miles from here, and it's going to take you 2 hours and 50 minutes to reach Edinburgh. Press start, and then it'll tell you where you're going. And that's the sat. And then if you want to end the route, just press end. So that's your sat nav. And there's shortcuts for sat nav, reverse and camera, DAB radio, and Bluetooth on the bottom. But if you go back to home, you can go on the radio, which is FM, AM, and press presets and save 6 radio stations. Or you can go to DAB and get your national channels, go to your list, and it'll start to load them there, and you can choose. And then you do get your regional stations, so Tyne and Wear, where we are, we've got our regional stations.